You've probably heard a lot of stories based on true events, but today, I'm going to tell you about a real-life story that seems a bit different to me. It's the life story of a woman from China. This film story is a real example of how tough people life can be and how people fight to survive against these tough realities. The movie is called Toughly Greatly. I can only say that this real-life true story might stay in your heart forever. So, without further ado, let's get into the main story of the movie. At the beginning of the movie, we see a very remote village in China. A woman is writing something in a strange language and carefully preserving her writings. Throughout the movie, we will hear her story in her own words. The story goes back many years. This girl, who has difficulty walking and has a disability, is named Yida, and she is that same lady. She has a problem with one of her legs, which is why she can't walk normally. Even though Yida had parents, she always stayed with her grandmother, who loved her the most in the world. Yida notices that all the other children are heading to school, so she goes home to get her books. Her grandmother repeatedly reminds her to be very careful when crossing the river. While the other children run towards the school, Yida, who couldn't walk properly, tries to walk as fast as she can despite her disability. This was the daily routine for this disabled little girl. She has to struggle a lot to get to school, and she was often late to get school. So the teacher told her, "You know you are a disabled child, you need to leave home earlier to get to school on time." These words didn't upset Yida, because she has been hearing such things since she was born. During lunch break, while other children played, Yida would sit quietly and watch them. Even though she felt sad inside, she just stayed quiet. When Yida came home from school, she would write in a type of ancient Chinese script called Dai. Dai is a very old Chinese culture that not everyone understood or could write. Yida's grandmother had taught her this script. You could say it was Yida's favorite thing to do. A Buddhist monk from the village temple came to visit Yida's grandmother. Seeing Yida, the monk praised her a lot. Yida's grandmother told the monk that although Yida may not be like other normal children, she is mentally much stronger than them. She loves the Dai culture and wants to preserve it. Yida's grandmother mainly made a kind of paper from cotton cloth for writing the Dai script, which was an ancient practice. One day, Yida's classmates were planning to watch a movie together after dinner. Hearing this, Yida said, "I want to watch the movie too." Her cousin then told her, "You can't even walk properly. To get to the place where we'll watch the movie, you have to cross the river and then climb a hill. You can't do all that. You don't need to watch the movie." Hearing this, Yida felt sad and started to cry. Late at night, while Yida was praying with her grandmother, she saw from a distance her friends running from their homes to watch a movie. Yida also had a strong desire to watch the movie because she had never watched one before. So, despite her difficulties, she slowly walked away to watch the movie. As she navigates through the jungle path and reaches the riverbank, Yida tried hard each time to cross the river. However, no matter how many attempts she made, she failed every time. From the background, Yida then says, "I never saw a film before I grew up." This is how time was passing for her. One day, Yida's father comes to see Yida and her grandmother. He tells her mother, Yida is growing up slowly, but she's not learning any outside work. Besides that, she's disabled. If she doesn't learn any work, what will she do when she grows up? Then the grandmother tells her son, "You shouldn't worry about all of this." Yida then leaves the place and goes outside and quietly sits there. Grandmother says to her son, "Yida is growing up now. It's better not to talk about these things in front of her." Shortly after, Yida's uncle comes to their house. There was unrest in the village at that time. Her uncle was the political leader of the village. They want to destroy the old cultural customs and make China-centric laws. So her uncle asks her mother for ancient books written by the old customs, so that he could submit them to the government. But the grandmother completely unwilling to give those books to her son. The next day, Yida and her grandmother visits at the temple to meet the monk. She explains her son's matter in detail to the monk. Then, the monk tells Yida's grandmother, "We must always be vigilant. They want to destroy our culture." After a brief conversation, Yida and her grandmother came home. After returning home, Yida's grandmother quickly hid all the ancient Dai. The next day, it was seen that Yida's grandmother's house had been completely ransacked. They had searched the entire house looking for the ancient Dai, led by Yida's uncle. Finding nothing there, Yida's uncle went to Yida's father's house to search. People from the village were also heading in that direction. Hearing this news, Yida ran frantically towards her father's house. The little girl kept falling on the ground as she walked. But when she reached her house, there was a crowd of many people. They had recovered many ancient Dai from their house, and all the ancient Dai were loading onto a pickup van. Late at night, Yida was sit quietly beside her grandmother. At that moment, her grandmother tells her, "From tomorrow on, you will stay with your parents for a few days. I have some work to do." The next morning, grandmother goes to the party office. There she sees someone is burning those old dye in front of the office, and with that fire, he is lighting a cigarette. Seeing this, grandmother becomes very sad, tears welled up in her eyes, because these were their ancient traditions. On the other hand, Yida has returned to her house. She quietly sits near the door because she was missing her grandmother a lot. Meanwhile, her grandmother was mainly trying to recover some ancient dye from that office. Late at night, Yida and her grandmother hide some recovered dye in a secret place. The next morning, Yida was walking through the jungle path, while her grandmother was returning to the village from the market. Yida was observing a peacock. Suddenly, she heard a noise. The car carrying Yida's grandmother crashed into a ditch. Yida's grandmother passed away at the scene of the accident. Everyone from the village has come to bid farewell to Yida's grandmother, just like they do for the last rites. After Yida's grandmother's final ceremony, everyone returned to their homes. However, Yida quietly stood there. From the background, Yida then says, "Since that day, my childhood indeed ended to me." After many years passed, Yida has grown much older now. The little Yida is now a young woman. She still writes down those ancient dye, which was taught her by her grandma. Today she has come to the village market with those dye, which was written by her, because now those lost ancient dye are being preserved in China. The office people praise Yida's writings about the ancient dye a lot. They ask Yida to come with them to the city, but Yida quietly left from there. Yida returned home and was working to harvest their crops. Along that path, some Chinese soldiers were passing by. They were fascinated by Yida's appearance and tried to talk to her. An officer notices this and orders the soldiers to move on from there. Yida notices this incident. And for the first time, there is an eye contact between these two individuals. The army officer's name was Zhou Hua. After returning home, Yida was writing ancient dye. Then someone called out to her from outside, saying, "I am leaving a parcel here." When Yida came outside, there was no one there, only the parcel was left. Yida opens the parcel and sees that it is actually a movie ticket. Yida then goes to the movie theater. There, Chinese soldiers were also watching the movie. Among them was that officer named Zhou Hua. Yida and Zhou Hua meet again. From the way they were looking at each other, we can understand that these two people have started to like each other a lot. The next day, Yida was sitting at home writing the ancient dye. Suddenly, someone knocked on her door. Zhou Hua has come to see her. Yida is very surprised to see Zhou Hua. Zhou Hua tells her, "We may never see each other again. I have to go to war. But I want to tell you about my feelings. I like you very much, and your disability is not any issue for me. Every time when I see you, you seem even more beautiful to me than before." Yida feels very shy. She asks Zhou Hua to sit down. Zhou Hua sits and looks at the ancient dye. He is very surprised to see this ancient culture. But Zhou Hua was sitting on Yida's clothes, so she couldn't move much. Then Zhou Hua directly proposes to Yida. At that moment, Yida remembers her childhood prayer. She had always wanted someone like him as her life partner. Yida then tells her parents about Zhou Hua. Everyone likes Zhou Hua a lot. Yida is very happy. Just then, someone calls Yida from outside. Yida quickly runs outside. A soldier has come. He gives her a letter and says, "This is for you." Handing the letter to Yida, the soldier leaves. Yida hurriedly opens the envelope. The letter is from Zhou Hua. It says, "Yida, I couldn't inform you before going to war because of the army's regulations. As you read this letter, I am far away from you. But I promise you, I will return from the war and fulfill all our dreams." Yida reads the letter and cries a lot, feeling down. Her days pass in sadness. One day, Yida's father tells her, "The city's cultural center has called you to translate some old dye." The next day, when Yida goes outside, the village postmaster calls her. A letter has arrived for her. Holding the letter, Yida becomes very excited because it is from Zhou Hua. In the letter, Zhou Hua writes to Yida, "I know you miss me a lot, but the situation here is not good. The war has taken a very dangerous turn. I don't know if I will survive or not. I'm sending you a picture of me. Please keep it with care." Yida gently caresses the picture with great affection. Time passes like this. Yida constantly translates old dye. Her tireless efforts are featured in the local newspaper. Letters start coming in from far and wide, everyone sending her good wishes. Yida now hardly finds time to read those letters, but the letter she is waiting for, there is no news of that one arriving. One day, Yida suddenly notices a letter. She hurriedly takes it out. It is a letter from Zhou Hua. The letter reads, "Yida, it may be difficult for you to read my writing because I am writing with trembling hands. I have been shot, so I cannot write properly. But today, I am reminiscing about those old days, about the cornfield, the first time I saw you. Those memories seem like the greatest achievements of my life. I wish I could go back to that time. But the truth is, this may be my last letter to you. Very few of us soldiers are still alive. We may be able to fight for just a little while longer, but we will fight our last battle. Perhaps we will never meet again, but make your life beautiful. This is my wish. However, I have regret that I couldn't introduce you to my mother. She really wanted to see you. I have told her many stories about you, but not all wishes in life come true. Take care. Yida finishes reading the letter and clutches it tightly in her hand, and start crying. Many months pass like this. One day, a man comes to Yida's house. He says to her, "My name is Leo. I used to send you letters from Ruzhen." Yida feels somewhat unprepared. She takes out 2 large boxes of letters. There were many letters inside. The man shows her the letters he had sent. Actually, Yida had never even opened those letters. The man tells Yida, "I want to heal your leg." Yida says that it is never possible. She asks the man to leave. But Leo is persistent. He talks to Yida's father and convinces him. Yida's father comes and tells her, "The young man is very good. He wants to fix your leg, he wants to take responsibility for you." But Yida refuses to listen to any of this. One night, Yida's father informs her, "Leo has started living to this village for you. You can consider it if you want." Within a few days, Leo comes to meet Yida again. He says to her, "I have something to tell you. I know why you sent me away. You're waiting for Zhouhua." Leo also mentioned Zhouhua's army batch number. Yida is very surprised. Leo says, "I am Zhouhua's childhood friend. I heard about you from Zhouhua himself. But we have all let go of Zhouhua's hope. It's true that we didn't find his body, but if he had survived, he would have come by now. He told me that he always wanted to see you happy." Within a few days, Leo has developed a close friendship with Yida. Yida shares all her childhood pains with him. Leo provides her with considerable emotional support. Gradually, Leo earns Yida's trust. One day, Leo takes Yida on a mountainous path on his bicycle. Yida notices that Leo is working hard. She imagines Juor in Leo's place. When her imagination ends, Yida wipes away Leo's sweat. Then Leo tells Yida, "I want to be your 2 legs for your whole life." Leo was taking care of Yida like a responsible man. Day by day, Yida's trust in Leo increased. Afterwards, it can be seen that Yida and Leo tied their lives together. They got married. Several years pass by. In due course, a daughter is born to Yida and Leo. They name her Yiping. But over the years, the reality also changed a lot. Now Leo no longer has that love for Yida. Yida now spends her days taking care of her little daughter, while Leo travels extensively. One day, Yida tells Leo, "You lied to me before marriage. You promised to stand by me in my life." Leo replies, "Reality is much harder. You have never worked outside, so you wouldn't know how tough it is to work outdoors." Yida asks, "So what do you want? Should I work outside?" Leo says, "Yes. From now on, you start earning money too. I can't do it anymore." The next day, it is seen that Yida has started hoeing with her little daughter on her back. Yida's father was walking that way, and he said to his daughter, "Why are you doing this? Where's your husband?" Yida replied, "I don't know where he is." Then her father told her, "Give me the hoe, I'll do your work. You take your daughter home." Yida said, "No thanks. Let me do my work." At night, Leo kept asking Yida about the dye left by her grandmother, because those are now very expensive in the market. Yida then tells Leo, "What do you think? I've preserved those dye with so much effort for years. Those are my grandmother's last memories. Do you expect me to give them to you for sale? Never expect it." This makes Leo angry, and he goes outside the house to smoke a cigarette. Yida's father sees this. The next day, it's observed that Yida is working hard, taking her little daughter in her back. She wants to show the society that she is not different from other normal people. She can also work hard. When Yida returns home and sits down to translate old dye, she finds a letter on the table. It was Leo's letter. Leo wrote in his letter, "Yida, I've become extremely impatient about your life. I want to explore the outside world, to find the life I desire. I aspire to become much bigger in life. That's why today, I bid farewell to your life. Don't ever try to find me." Upon reading the letter, Yida cries in anger and sorrow. She throws away the things in front of her. The little girl was scared then and starts crying. On one side, the mother, on the other side, the child also crying. Outside, it's pouring rain. The helpless mother is sitting with her child in her lap. She doesn't know how she'll raise this little girl alone, because she can't walk properly herself. The next day marks the beginning of a new, struggling life for Yida. With her little child strapped to her back, Yida goes to the local market to sell some watermelon seeds. She shouts out to customers just like the others. She is very grateful to those who buy seeds from her. Then, a short distance behind Yida, a woman is seen looking at her with surprise. This woman's name is Zhu. She used to work where Yida translated Dai in the city. Zhu liked Yida and her works very much. She calls out to Yida. When Yida looks back, she feels a bit embarrassed. The woman asks, "What are you doing here, and why are you doing this?" Yida replies, "I am a person with a disability. I have no other option. I have to take care of my child on my own." Yida offers the woman some watermelon seeds to eat. The woman says, "It's okay." Yida responds, "I'm sorry I can't properly treat you." She bids farewell to the woman and resumes shouting to attract customers. The woman watches Yida with amazement. And so, Yida's life continues. Despite storms and rain, she straps her child to her back and hobbles forward, struggling along the hilly paths. It is very difficult for her to walk these mountainous roads, but she has to raise her child. Yida travels far and wide through storms and rain to gather a few watermelon seeds. Suddenly, she slips, and the basket of seeds falls to the ground, soaking them in the water. The child on her back starts crying. In frustration and sorrow, Yida picks up the basket and throws it to the ground. Since childhood, this girl has struggled against the world, and this continuous struggle has worn her out. She sits in the rain and cries uncontrollably. That night, Yida's father placed 2,000 yuan in front of her and says, "Going to the market to sell watermelon seeds is very hard for you. Use this money to build a small shop in front of the house. I can't bear to see you struggling like this anymore." Yida asks her father, "Where did you get so much money?" Her father replies, "You don't need to worry about that. From tomorrow, think about your new shop." With these words, Yida's father left, and Yida sat there quietly. Several years passed this way. Yida's little girl now goes to school. Yida's shop has also grown bigger than before. From her father's words, we learn that Yida not only returned the 2,000 yuan he had given her but also gave him an additional 2,000 yuan. Her father is very proud of his daughter. Yida's business has expanded significantly, and so has her hard work. Yida still works very hard. One day, Yida's daughter saw a doll inside a car. Bing goes over to the car for the doll. The car door was open. After a while, Yida notices that her daughter is not where she had left her. Desperately, she begins searching for Yiping, asking everyone if they had seen her. Yida was calling out her daughter's name frantically. Meanwhile, the car had driven far away from the town. Eventually, the driver noticed a little girl sleeping in the back seat, hugging the doll. He immediately stopped the car. On the flip side, Yida goes to the local radio station, crying uncontrollably. She is so desperate to get her child back at any cost. Her child is her only hope in life. The news of Yiping's disappearance was being broadcast repeatedly over the loudspeaker. Shortly after, the car arrives in front of the radio station. Yiping gets out of the car and screams, "Mom!" It seemed to see Yida, she has regained her life. She hugs her daughter tightly and was crying a lot. The scene changes. Yida is teaching her daughter to write Dai. Then a Buddhist monk from the village temple arrives. He says to Yida, "I want to give you a responsibility. I found some old Dai. I want you to translate them." Yida is very happy to receive this great responsibility. Before leaving, the monk tells Yida, "The ancient Dai left by your grandmother are very valuable. Take good care of them." As Yida goes to put the Dai in a box, she sees Zhouhua's picture again after many years. For a moment, Yida seems to travel back to the memory-filled days of her past, days that were once present but are now just memories. She looks at herself in the mirror and notices that her hair is starting to turn white. Many years pass this way. Now, most of Yida's hair has turned white. She has to wear glasses, but she still translates Dai. Yida's old shop remains just as it was. Her mother comes to bring her food and asks, "How is Yiping? When will she come?" Yida replies, "She has finished her studies, doing a job there, and will come to visit us next month." In the next scene, we see that the little Yiping has grown up a lot. She is going towards the village with her boyfriend. Meanwhile, Yida continues to uphold her grandmother's old tradition. She makes paper from cotton cloth just like her grandmother did and dries it in the sun. Yida is working on these tasks while chatting with her mother. In a moment, Yiping rushes into the house and grabs her mother. Her mother, overjoyed, keeps telling her daughter, "My little girl has grown up so much." Yiping's mother and grandmother are delighted to finally see her after so long. After a while, Yiping calls her boyfriend Li, who is standing outside, to come inside. Seeing Li, both Yiping's mother and grandmother are pleased. Then, Yiping takes Li to see her great-grandmother's picture and shows him the 100-year-old Dai culture books. Li is very interested and amazed, offering many compliments. Hearing Li's words, Yida feels very happy. At night, Yiping sleeps with her mother. Yida asks her daughter, "Does your father come to see you?" Aping replies, "Yes, he comes to see me sometimes and brings many things for me." Yida, with a hint of regret, says, "Your crippled mother couldn't give you much in life, so I apologize to you." Yiping responds, "Mom, don't say that. I can never repay the debt of what you have done for me as a mother. You have endured a lot of pain for me." The next morning, the whole family gathers together. Yida announces to everyone about Yiping and Li's love for each other. She says, they have been studying together for many years and now they are working together. They understand each other very well. I have no objections to their marriage. Yiping's grandfather then tells Li, "Our Dai community has a rule. After marriage, you must stay here for at least 3 years and work with us in the fields. Otherwise, we won't allow you to marry Yiping." Hearing this, Li becomes a bit disheartened. Yiping's grandmother says, "Why are you scaring the boy? Li, you don't have to follow any of that." Finally, Li and Yiping's marriage is settled. Both of them are very happy. The next day, the woman who had known Yida from the city, whose name was Zhu, comes to Yida's shop. Yida's first book on Dai culture has been published, and Zhu brings a copy to her. She says, "You should read through it carefully. If there are any mistakes or corrections needed, let me know." Yida touches her own book with great affection. The next day was the village festival. All the villagers gathered together and everyone was having a great time. Yida was laughing heartily. Suddenly, Yida seemed to find her younger self, the Yida who used to sit quietly in a corner during the festival. So much time had passed, so much had changed. At night, everyone released sky lanterns together. The next morning, we see that Yida's husband, Leo, has come to visit. After many years, Yida and Leo sit face to face. Yida tells Leo, "I heard you often came to see Yiping. You bought her many things. I couldn't fulfill many of her dreams as a mother." Leo then says to Yida, "I am sorry for everything. I want to do something for you now." Yida replies, "You don't have to say sorry. And you don't need to do anything for me. I am grateful to you. You gave me social status. Thank you for giving me a daughter, giving me the chance to be a mother. And thank you for coming here." Tears were falling from Leo's eyes. Yiping was listening to all her parents' conversation. Finally, Yida says to Leo, "I have to do one thing." Leo asks, "What?" In reality, Yida and Leo had never truly separated. The bond they had tied many years ago was now finally, forever, severed. The scene changes, and Yida is talking to her daughter. Yida says, "I have no relationship with your father anymore. I also know that your father might come to see you from time to time, and it's natural for you to feel sad about your father. I will never stand in the way of your relationship with your father, but never ask me to come between the two of you. I have one last wish. I want to go to the city of Rujin to find Zhouhua's mother." However, Aping cannot accept this and says, "Why now, after all these years? And if you find Zhouhua there, what will you do? You still don't know if he really died or not." Yida replies, "Then maybe I'll stay there for the rest of my life. Zhouhua's last wish was for me to meet his mother at least once." Hearing this, Yiping gets angry and leaves. The scene changes. Yida is looking out the window of a moving train. She is heading towards the city of Rujin. Yida takes out Zhouhua's picture, which she had kept between the pages of a book. She continues to gaze at that picture with deep affection. She wears a smile of peace on her face. The train moves towards the city that could have been Yida's permanent home. Suddenly, we see Yiping on the train as well. She sits beside her mother and rests her head on Yida's shoulder. Yiping also going to the city with her mother. Yida's face is filled with a peaceful smile. And with this smile, Yida's life story comes to an end. At the end of the movie, we are told that Yida learned that Zhouhua had died in the war. She went to Rujin and met Zhouhua's 90-year-old mother. And that was the real-life story of Yida. Friends, take a moment to imagine the journey of that little girl Yida from the beginning of her life until now. Now, think about the elderly people you see around you. They could be your parents, grandparents, or someone else. Each of them has their own unique stories in their lives. Deep down in their heart, there might have many unfulfilled desires, some of which we may not know or prefer not to discover. Perhaps you and I are also at some stage in this story called life, a story that will eventually come to an end, perhaps with many unfulfilled desires. So, that's it for today. Let me know how you felt about this story in the comments. Please keep me in your prayers. Stay well, stay healthy. Goodbye for now. Thank you so much.